Page 56 of your math journal. This one is going to have a title of unit rates. Okay, let's first define what a unit rate is. A unit rate is the amount of something compared to one of another. So one whole unit, I should say, one whole unit of another. Okay, we use unit rates all the time. Probably the most common way we use them in daily life is pricing at the grocery store. But all it means is the amount of one thing for one of another. So I want you to get used to the word per. Okay, and per means for each. Okay, now some examples of where we would use this. Let's skip one line, and we're going to write that a bag of apples has 7 apples and costs $2.24. What is the unit rate per apple? Okay, what I want you to underline in this is the word per. That means for each apple. So if I'm trying to figure out the cost for each apple, I know how many apples I have. I know how much it costs for all of the apples. I want to know for each apple. So I'm going to divide by the apples. So up here, by per, I want you to write divide by. So here I'm going to take the price and I'm going to divide them by the apples. So $2.24, and I'm going to divide it by, there are 7 apples. So I'm going to take $2.24 and divide it by 7. Okay, 7 goes into 2. It doesn't, so I'm going to put a 0 there. Decimal point. Minus 0 leaves me with 2. Go to the next place value, 22. 7 goes into 22 3 times. 3 times 7 is 21. So I'm going to subtract 21 from there. That leaves me with 1. Bring down the 4. 7 goes into 14 2 times. So minus 14 gives me 0. So what is my unit rate per apple? It costs 32 cents per one apple. That's all a unit rate is taking, you're comparing one thing to another. Here we were comparing money to the number of apples there were. So we divided the price by the apples. Okay, let's try another one where we might use this. Okay, these next ones I'm not going to work out. I'm just going to show what the answer would be, but you have to understand how to get there. Okay, so this next one, a recipe for rice calls for 6 cups of rice, and 12 cups of water. Okay, now the unit rate has everything to do with what it's asking. I'm going to ask for 2 different unit rates just from this recipe. So I want the unit rate of rice per cup of water. Skip one line, and then I want the unit rate of water per cup of rice. Okay, notice the wording on these. This is really important. This says per cup of water. So I'm going to take what I have and I'm going to divide it to get for 1 cup by the water. So notice how I put this. This would be 6 cups of rice divided by 12 cups of water. 6 divided by 12 gives me 0.5 or 1/2, whichever way you want to look at it. So my unit rate is 1/2 cup of rice per 1 cup water. Because I wanted it per cup of water, I want to know how much rice goes with 1 cup of water. This is different. This one says the unit rate of water per cup of rice. So now I want to know how much water for 1 cup of rice. So this one, I would take the water and divide by the rice. So here, this would be 2, which would mean there are 2 cups of water per cup of rice. Notice the difference. It depends on the way it's worded for your unit rate. They are just ratios. I'm comparing how much water here for 1 cup of rice, and here I'm comparing how much rice for 1 cup of water. Okay, let's try one more unit rate. Okay, I'm going to skip one line and I'm going to write if I have if I have 7 candy bars and 4 students, I want to know the unit rate of candy bars per student. Okay, what is it saying? It's saying per student. So I want to divide the candy bars by the students. So 7 divided by 4. 7 divided by 4 is the same as 1.75 or 1 3/4. So that means my unit rate is 1 3/4 candy bars per student. Each student, if I were to split this up, would get 1 3/4 of the candy bars. All a unit rate is a ratio comparing how much of something for every one of another unit. So anytime you see a unit rate, think for one or for each.